That would be me.
Look who we're hanging with.
Brian O'Halloran.
Jason David Frank.
Humberto Ramos.
Please do not change channel.
Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hanging With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't had a chance yet, we're going to let you take just a second to subscribe. We have artists, authors, filmmakers, entertainers, musicians, 3 homeless guys I met in the parking lot because they were fun. All on the Hanging With Web Show. We're here right now hanging with comic artist Ed McGuinness. Ed, man, thank you for taking a few minutes. Because I saw your table.
Yes.
Yeah. He needed a few minutes.
Yeah, I did.
Actually, I'm not officially supposed to be doing an interview. He just needed a place to sit. For 10 minutes. So, you've had an awesome career. You're doing great things.
I couldn't be more thankful.
We're done. Thank you. You've made him happy. Let's talk. How did you get started in comics?
Oh, man.
Wait. We have the classic, my mom handed me a crayon and that was what happened.
Yeah.
When did you know this was something that I want to do this? It's like a thing.
Electric Company Spider-Man.
Electric? Really?
Yes.
Electric Company Spider-Man.
Yeah, that was it. And from there, it's just that I've been in love with superheroes, you know.
For those of you who aren't aware, Tobey Maguire wasn't the first cinematic Spider-Man. Just the first one you know about, Electric Company Spider-Man. We actually did have an 80s TV series. We don't talk about it much, but it does exist. You can YouTube
it.
it.
The 70s, was it?
What's that?
Late
70s.
70s.
I'm in trouble now. I just dated ourselves. Damn. Oh, man. You see what just happened there? And I was going to have to work so hard to color correct the gray. And so, Electric Company Spider-Man.
Yeah. That was it.
Right.
I had...
What was your first professional comic?
Oh, my first professional comic?
What was that?
I did some underground independent stuff. I don't even remember the names of some of them. I don't even think I was paid on
independent stuff.
Yeah,
that's guys. In the industry, that's what's known as free work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Haven't been paid yet.
We have a lot of fancy terms for it. We're independent creators, underground. There's a lot of things we use, but mostly it means we're poor and ramen noodles are really good.
Yeah, exactly. So that was, I cut my teeth on some of that. Didn't get paid on it, but it was just a business card.
Nice.
So basically, the first thing I actually did was...
That's my whole career, by the way, so it's all right.
Yeah. First thing I did was Vampirella. That was that first with Tom Snigowski.
Nice.
Yeah, that was he's such a great guy. I owe so much to him. He was huge in my career, and in kind of a weird turn of events, he actually was my neighbor, and I had no idea.
I love it when that happens.
Yeah, it's the best thing.
Yeah. Now you're working on
the Avengers.
New Avengers right now. Yeah. If you look back and you think, there we are, Electric Company Spider-Man, and then you get into Vampirella. Did you ever see yourself working on the Avengers?
No, but it's one of those weird things. I kind of just, I'm into what I'm doing at the moment. And maybe it's
not so much a napper.
Yeah, I'm not so much of a napper. I am a napper. Actually, after this show, I will be a napper. But as far as mapping, my mapping skills are pretty pathetic. So I kind of roll with the punches. That's even how I make pages and draw stuff. I kind of just ad-lib it as it's happening. It's all about feeling it out. But
what's your first step? You get a writer comes in and says, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What is your first process? What's your visualization process like? Or do you just sit there and go, let's just draw that?
I'll read the script as best I can, or at least in chunks, but I try to get at least an idea of where the entire thing's going. And then I'll just take little notes and jot stuff down. If there's a particular image on a page that I'm inspired by, I'll kind of do that, maybe build the page around it. I kind of floated that
Artists are
too. There's no
usually
particular.
Artists are art enthusiasts most of the time.
Yeah.
So, what artist inspires you the most?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I mean, the first.
Is there somebody's work who you that you have to be careful to avoid? You know, because it's so inspirational, or something that speaks to you like that.
No, there's a lot of people like that. But I can say the first comic artist that I realized that, wow, this guy's art is different and it really speaks to me was John Byrne when I was a kid. I was turned on to him when I was really young. And then Art Adams came along and it was like, oh boy. And that really made me know that this is what I want to do. I really want to do this. Super inspired by that. And there's been so many others, almost like it would be pointless to...
Yeah. Well, I mean, he aimed pretty high there anyway. Well, obviously your New Avengers is what you're working on right now. Is there anything, if you had to pick something that you were aspiring to, if you had to map for a minute, is there something that you're aspiring to get to? Something you want to work on? Maybe your own project, something that's...
I probably eventually my own project. I've got a bunch of ideas.
That's because you're an artist and that's what artists do.
Yeah, I've been doing this for, 20-something years at this point, so I've definitely been accumulating ideas since I was a kid. And so at some point they have to
come up to the table. Now, you've done a lot of work, okay? As people are coming up to the table at the cons, single most asked about property that you've worked on.
Oh man, it changes so much. But
oh, does it? Does it change?
Yeah, no, it's literally it's like regional. Like,
oh really?
Certain cons I'll get a ton of Superman, Batman. Other cons I get a ton of Hulk. I got a ton of Spider-Man, Deadpool. But I've been getting a lot of vibe from Avengers that just came out.
Yeah.
So,
does that have a huge impact on the fan base when a new movie comes out, or especially now, because they're not even just. They're not even movies, man. They're like epic tales of one. They're like $1 billion tales.
Yes, they are.
Every time. I don't even measure anymore. I'm like, we do the weekly radio show, and they say, well, let's talk about, what was the best grossing weekend? And I'm like, why? It's $1 billion. Just say $1 billion. It's automatically $1 billion.
That's it. Automatically.
I think Mickey Mouse prints $1 billion bills. That's what he does. Okay, this is one from my book. I wrote this one down. If you could draw Ed McGuinness into any universe, but here's the rule: you don't get to write it. You just draw yourself in, and you have to spend a week there.
Oh man,
where would you go?
Probably like Muppets or something.
The Muppets, somewhere safe.
I wouldn't die.
Somewhere safe, yeah. Because that's the first time we've had the Muppets. We've actually had people beg to get out of the chair if we put them near Game of Thrones.
somewhere safe and goofy.
The worst thing that's going to happen is a Muppet toss.
Somebody will throw like a pie at me or something.
Now, as the comic book insider right now, as things transition.
Insider?
Well, as far as you know, we're telling the truth. He knows stuff. Is there we have seen what was fan culture, subculture, become pop culture.
Yeah.
And we're transitioning and translating, and I think I'm using that word correct, translating from comic book into film, into television.
Yeah.
Is there a story that you would like to see brought over and sort of, comic culture is comic culture. We all love our comic books. That's why we're here. Well, most of us. But is there a story that you would like to see mainstream, something that's still comic culture and you'd like to see more people get into?
It's funny. It was a book.
At one time, Deadpool was that guy. Deadpool was the guy that everybody's like, nobody ever does a Deadpool. We need to do a Deadpool, and now
as far as the story goes, it was actually something I worked on. The Nova book. I didn't even want to work on that book, and Jeph Loeb was writing it. We were but by the end of it, I didn't want to leave the book because I fell in love with the characters. But the story is just so good, and I think it would connect with a lot of younger fans, and it did really well. But I would love to see that done cinematically. I think or even a TV series.
Yeah, well, there's so much there now.
Oh, there's so much heart to it. That's the thing. I really like to see that.
When you think of, when we talk about, when we've grown up, all right?
Yeah.
You think about we were growing up, an attempt at a superhero on the small screen, don't even think about the big screen.
Dude, they put fake ears on Cap's head.
Yeah,
it was
remember that?
Yeah.
And then they gave him a motorcycle helmet. Because that sounded like a good idea.
That's right.
That was the attempt at realism.
Yes.
Because he wouldn't wear those wings, but a motorcycle helmet with wings painted.
They had to spend the budget, so they bought the ears. It was right to budget.
It was the thing, right?
They had to.
The best thing they ever did in our era in TV was hire Lou Ferrigno.
Oh man. Yes.
That was.
No, Wonder Woman was great. I was a kid,
It was for us.
For us as
young,
kids,
you know what I mean?
Kids.
I'm trying to picture what our parents thought when we turned that on, though. And Linda Carter spun around. Dad went, "What?" And Mom just went, "Turn that off."
I know exactly.
And but it was great for us. But now they can do so much. We can tell because they campy versions were great for kids, introducing us to those characters.
Oh yeah.
But this is just good storytelling now.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now it's like
so much of it,
it's
too.
like novelizing. It's like the comic books. Because you guys put a lot of thought into the art. The scriptwriters put a lot of thought into the story arcs.
Yeah.
And now we're getting to tell those stories cinematically, and it's amazing. Nova would be awesome.
Oh, I think so.
That would be.
I think so.
Hollywood, why don't you listen ever to me? Because I would love. Anyway, never mind. Where are you going next from here? You got a busy con schedule coming up?
No.
Home. Sleep nap. Remember he said he's a napper.
No, my next show, I'm pretty sure, is in Las Vegas at the end of next month, maybe.
You poor guy.
Yeah, Las Vegas. So.
Well, there goes those royalty checks.
No, I'm not a gambler. I'm not
Really?
even staying in the. That was part of my thing.
No.
Put me in the. I just want to stay away from all that.
Yeah,
I don't even care about any of it. I'll do the show though.
Yeah.
I'll do the show.
Yeah, you know what? We were out west not long ago, and I traveled when I was younger to Vegas, and it was, it was the Vegas of myth.
Yes.
And I was there. We drove through on our way to San Diego Comic-Con a couple years ago with Michael, and it was like Orlando with gambling. You can eat out the sidewalks now. It's just amazing what they've done.
Oh yeah,
And then the idea of a big con in Vegas is just, why don't you just take my money? I mean, that's.
Plus, Maine's cold. Anytime I go to a warm place.
Yeah, man, that's just. You wonder why people travel the con circuit. Maine, okay?
Maine.
Yeah. First of all, anybody who's a Stephen King reader knows nothing good ever happens in Maine. It's always scary and cold and dark, and we're going to rip off George Martin and full of terrors. So, all right, she's going to hold that damn card up until I shut up, so I'm going to do it. We're going to thank our partners and our friends at Something Unique Magazine out of St. Louis, Famous Faces and Funnies. Rick Shea and the crew over there were the first sponsors of the show.
Awesome.
Fantastic people. Krypton Radio for hosting the Hanging With Web Show radio hour every week. Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason. Space Coast Comics, Jake Estrada and David Grace are fantastic. Asylum Convention Entertainment Services, who booked us into MegaCon on the floor where we can hang out with Ed.
Man.
So we're doing good. Thank you guys for doing that. Everybody out there, remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Thanks, Ed.
Thank you
so much.